George Mason announced today that they have hired Kim English, the Tennessee assistant, as their next head basketball coach, replacing Dave Paulson. English has been assistant here at Tennessee, and prior to that, he had worked with Tad Boyle of Colorado, the same Colorado team that beat down Georgetown a few days ago in the NCAA tournament. So a lot of questions surround, what is the next step as far as recruiting and what sort of styles, and they'll be interested to see when English is finally allowed to speak to the media, which will come on Thursday. So expect for more stuff to come on Thursday evening, early Friday morning, to try to see where this program is going. I do think it's a step in the right direction. There are some obvious things that need to change in the sense of, and this is not to blame Coach Paulson at all, but you have to start recruiting A10 standards, meaning that your better players probably need to be an uptick athletically, needs to be an uptick as far as shooting and being able to defend and finding rim defenders, so on and so forth. And a lot of the current players on the team, they're good A10 pieces. They just cannot be your best players on an A10 team. And that's by no fault of theirs. So if English can uptick the recruiting, which means more than just recruiting in the DC area. I've heard this time and time again. We get it. We all know that in this DC metro area with DC, Maryland, Virginia, there are oodles of talent. There are oodles of talent in other places too. What they need to do is get the right fit for the program and the right fit for the university. Yes, do I think that means that it could be some more local guys that you can convince to stay home? Absolutely. There's no reason why Grant Golden ends up in the A10 at the University of Richmond. I mean, come on. When there were A10 teams and even a Big East team here in the area that he probably could have played for and contributed to. So it's those type of things that we're going to be looking for from Kim English to see if he can really change things around here in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm going to tell you, George Mason would be a great university and a great mid-major program if they can find that right mix and the perfect coach for them. And I know for alum fans of George Mason University, they are certainly hoping that Kim English is that guy. Maryland's season ended last night at the hands of Alabama, which seems to be one of the best teams in the country. As Mark Turgeon said time and time again, they were the fifth number one seed, and they looked every bit of it last night with their pace and space and three-point shooting. Yes, this NBA-style offense and philosophy has come to college basketball. But the big question for Maryland is, what's next? The NCAA is giving, a courtesy year. Does a guy like Darryl Marcel come back? Does he go ahead and leave? You also have Galen Smith, who I wouldn't think is going to be back, who is also a senior along with Reese Mona, and I don't think he'll be back either. But with Marcel, it will be interesting if he decides to come back. Other than that, there is an interesting roster that Maryland can have next year. With Eric Ayala, with Aaron Wiggins, if Marcus Starkey starts playing a bigger role, James Graham III playing a bigger role, Hakeem Hart, who sacrificed, played the point guard position when he's really a shooting guard. If they can fix that, if Chaw has some sort of big progression during the summer. In other words, Maryland has pieces, and they have experienced pieces coming back to the Big Ten. Now, can they fill in the gaps inside? Because that hurt them all year, being able to defend inside and against bigger teams, so on and so forth. That wasn't a problem against Alabama, but it was a problem during the Big Ten schedule when teams were much, much bigger than them and they can exploit it inside the score. But Maryland's in a pretty good situation, and Turgeon's in a pretty good situation. And he learned a lot about that team this year, and they, frankly, learned a lot about themselves. So, yes, it was a disappointing ending for Maryland, but when you look at it, their future could be bright with a few pieces and some development of the guys that they already have in house. Not saying they're going to be a Final Four team next year, not saying they're going to Big Ten next year, but I do think that Maryland won't be predicted to come in 12th next year. If so, I think that's kind of nuts. They have great pieces to build upon, especially if Turgeon decides to go inside the transfer portal and get a veteran big if he can find one. Those type of things that can help Maryland be in that top 5 or 6 in the Big Ten. Be maybe a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. Those type of things can help Maryland out. They're in good shape. In fact, if you're in the DMV, I would say that they might be the team in the best shape of all the local college teams. So yes, as I said before, disappointing end for Maryland, but the future is pretty bright.